Hey guys, what is up? It's Dusty here, and we're giving away 250 XRP the first time that a video hits 1500 likes within 24 hours, so make sure you press the like button, are subscribed, and comment something down below, as those three things are all you need to do to enter. Having said that, I want to first take a good look at the XRP price. As we've said before, it is still within a bullish pennant, and as I've talked about, it's not like we've actually broken out of it. It has only been shifting a little bit as we're actually converging more and more and more, right? Now, if you look at it from a daily perspective, I think it's pretty simple to see that we can actually keep this momentum up for quite a couple of days as, well, if we get some heavier candles going, we could actually push this through all the way to either December 11th or possibly even a little bit longer. However, the fun thing that I personally like to consider here is the fact that right now, I mean, if you look at it from this perspective, for example, we're looking really close at the end date at about the 10th. However, another point is we should be going down then to about right here, 57 cents, and then back up. But let's say it is December 11th when this actually, breaks out of this whole pennant. The cool thing about that is that it would be the day before Spark. All right, so we would get a higher XRP price the day before Spark with a lot of capital hopefully injected. And that would be actually pretty damn cool, all right, to see it happen before that, because first of all, people will be a lot more excited about Spark, but also a lot more people will get the Spark airdrop because they'll be buying in, which in turn will be more people to adopt this crypto and stuff like that. It will just go on with the boat, go on with the flow, and it would be very positive in my own personal opinion. Another thing that's interesting is that the bullish pennant actually works out very properly, as the whole flagpole was being made with quite a lot of volume, and then afterwards we saw the volume deteriorate, again, not a native English speaker, which is very important to actually, I guess, call this a proper bullish pennant. So again, if you're wondering what we're going to do with all this information and what we're going to do trading wise, is right now I'm personally not doing anything at all. I'm just buying my daily amounts of XRP that I've talked about before, and the only reason I'm going to be buying is if we break out on the top side and hopefully just leave this 0.62 cent zone as a support from now on, which it hasn't really done just quite yet. We only have this kind of this 54 cents or so as a baseline, and a little bit more specifically, we have about 45 or so cents. I'm hoping, however, that we can make 62 cents a baseline and hit within this zone once more at about 72 or so cents. From that point on, they're going to be extremely bullish. For right now, though, I'm only thinking about just breaking out to the top side so we can take on a long. And the same thing applies to all these other hours, though. We got some resistance here at about 67 cents and a little bit more, about 72 cents or so. But once we reach here again, we've already gotten rid of this middle part. And I personally think, because it's a pretty interesting bullish pennant here and things have been deteriorating, that if we do go up right now, it is again going to continue as a continuation of the bigger move that happened since the beginning of November. And from that perspective as well, I think that everything kind of fell into place, and we don't need to see another correction down lower until we've already hit about 92 cents or so before we can correct once more. Then XRP USD daily price chart June, yada. The thing is, these guys are also, all of them, calling for bullish pennants, all of them calling a couple of triangles in, and I kind of, looking at all these numbers, kind of am feeling that everybody's just positive on the XRP price right now, with the idea that Spark is coming up rather close here, right? And I think everybody's excited about Spark because it's free money, even though it might actually be worth next to nothing. It's about the idea that we're getting something for completely free, and it's also some technology on top of XRP, which again could also be very exciting. So again, I'm very happy with the whole situation, and I'm watching it very closely, but let's move on. New US stimulus, Brexit, and 20K, 5 things to watch in Bitcoin this week. A mountain of fresh US debt contrasts with a mountain of institutional cash potentially set to flow into the Bitcoin thanks to the major FOMO. Ooh, all right. So, in my own opinion, the only thing we need to talk about here is this section. $7 trillion money printing. The more controversial elements of the US president-elect, I don't want to say his name, future tenure, are already becoming clearer, and it's good news for Bitcoin. We've seen that in multiple instances where a lot of these companies right now have decided not to quit. We're seeing a huge injection of capital in crypto, and we saw some statements that regulation are coming in the current term still. However, they are coming with the foresight that this other individual is going to become the leader very, very soon. And the reason I'm not saying those names is because I've kind of noticed that YouTube doesn't like those real political views on things and stuff like that. So I'm trying to kind of keep it low, so to make sure my videos don't get any, narrative to them, or not shown to people who may be on the other side or stuff like that. I just don't know what they're doing with the algorithm, right? So I just want to be a little bit more careful. However, I do want to tell you guys this stuff, so that's why I'm trying my best to kind of be sneaky about it. As his inauguration edges closer, Thingy has already said that he plans a $7 trillion recovery package to tackle the impact of CV. This would add a huge new chunk of debt to the already huge mountain that the US has accrued this year. Against the backdrop of an already weakening dollar, the US could thus face a potent cocktail of dangerous economic factors driving down wealth, and the appeal of a safe haven has thus never been so real. Quote, "We had a horrible time in 2008 because of too much debt, and since 2008, the debt? How do you guys say that actually? How do you guys pronounce that? Is it like debt or debt? Debt. Whatever. Everywhere has skyrocketed, and we can't even count how much the debt is up." End quote. Jim Rogers, co-founder of Quantum Fund with George Soros, said at an investment summit last week, quoted by Reuters. Another quote, "If Janet Yellen is the next Secretary of Treasury, she loves to print and spend money." And fun fact, all right, we saw a little bit earlier a statement from, I don't even know, I think Waters is her name, and a lot of you guys called me a racist because I said I don't like her statements. You guys are crazy, man. I think because she's because she's a black woman, and I say, I don't like what she's saying on that one, and people call me a racist for that. That's definitely interesting because you actually have no idea what I look like, which is rather funny. The thought, maybe I'm, you have no idea what I am. Maybe I'm freaking Asian. Maybe I'm African. You don't know. It's a fun fact, right? I've told you where I'm from. Doesn't mean, but then again, I can't be racist still in that sense. That's also something you don't know. But because I don't like somebody's statements doesn't mean somebody's racist. I just wanted to point that out. It bit me a little bit. I was like, what? How is this guy saying that? Again, just a quick little mention. Going on, though, because I cannot bitch about stuff like that. A growth in M2 money supply by 22.5%. Velocity of money down by minus 20%. Printing is nesting itself into bonds and stocks. It is causing massive destruction of the middle class. You might want to check out Bitcoin. So this is actually a very interesting statement here coming from Preston Pish. And the reason I'm actually talking to you guys about all of this stuff is because I've personally said that the Fed has quite a huge problem on their hands right now. Right? We all know, you've all seen it before. Right now, they have $7 trillion in total assets, I believe. And again, I think here it says 7 million, but I think it's times 1,000, right? If I'm not mistaken, because that would make everything a little bit more logical, the whole situation. Otherwise, if it's just 7 million. Oh, wait, it's 7. Oh, sorry, guys. Sorry. It's 7 million in millions. So it's 7 million times a million. And the point about this all is right now there's a big crisis for the people themselves, of course, because they don't trust the US dollar. There's another bigger crisis for the government because, well, they, of course, are losing trust if people lose their faith in the dollar, or the dollar loses faith if people lose their faith in them. You guys get kind of the circle that's going around? They like are in a minus because, well, the more that they start to print, the less worth $1 is, right? Because, well, if you have more of them, if the amount of money really goes up, the price theoretically goes down of each single entity. That's just logical how that one works. I don't know how to further explain it without formulas. We can kind of go in a circle, but I don't think that's necessary. In this case here, you guys get that, hopefully. And the thing is that the only thing they can kind of do is make sure that people actually spend the stimulus. So once they get it, they incentivize people to spend it. And that can kind of get the circle going around a little bit better because, well, production needs to go up and the companies need to roll on further and stuff like that. But that's where things get a little bit difficult and a little bit frisky because this stimulus here is because people don't have enough money, right? So that's what the stimulus is here for. They need to help out people that have lost a job and stuff like that. So theoretically speaking, these guys should actually be very conservative with spending this money because they might have to do with it for a little while. That's one part. But also because, well, in general, they know as well that the economy is not in a very good spot. However, what they're doing is actually incentivizing people to spend, making the economy look like normal, making prices go up, and making it still kind of going the way around it where your money is becoming worth less over time because of inflation, of course, but also because of inflation, things become more expensive. And even though you have less money, it kind of looks in the bigger picture as if everything is going good, even though there's a huge US debt. And then And kind of what you're getting is things look like they're all good and solid and golden. And that's why the 95, maybe 99% of the world population wouldn't know about it, because everything looks good. And the economy can flourish for a little bit. But it's kind of based upon thin air, since the debt that's kind of countering all of that is getting huger and huger and huger, even though it's maybe not even reflected in the normal economy anymore. Then Citi, I just found this one interesting. Citi is working with some governments to create digital currency, says CEO. There's a couple of things you need to know about this one, right? There's actually quite a lot of countries right now working on CBDCs and a lot of companies trying to create new currencies and new things to do with distributed ledger technology. We've established this theory a couple of times before because, well, we know for a fact that Ripple has already been partnered up with a couple of, I don't know if it's governments officially or just entities, I don't know what to call it, to help out with CBDCs, but also because in every one of these conferences, they always leave the option open of, if you want to create a CBDC, for example, the US government, let's discuss it. We can help you out. We can do this type of stuff together. We can do it. And the basic point of that is it can be done. It can be done properly, how it is necessary. And that's the big discrepancy, I think, between the US and China, where China right now has been built, or the CBDC has been built from the top downwards, where the top has decided what to go for, and the downwards, like the folk, the people inside the country just have to accept it. And with the EU, for example, which we're going to be talking about a little bit later, I have another article on that, is being built from the ground kind of upwards, where you're asking your folk what they want to see and what they need and what they would like, and then you're building according to their needs. You're going to build or according to their demand/need, you're going to build your supply, so to speak, right? You're going to give them exactly what they want, which is completely opposite way around, but that's also how you get a solid system and actually something that's beneficial to everybody. And even though China is the first, it doesn't actually mean they're doing it the best way. And I think Ripple has a very nice stance towards this of saying, we want to help out and make sure we do it properly, because I think they also know, as a lot of these other, I guess, more philanthropic companies know, that a very good way to do things is by helping out the most amount of people in the best way possible. Like, for example, Vichin and some coins like that are doing, where you're helping a ton of people and not just looking out for the money and not just looking out for some debt closing figures, because that's eventually how you're going to get the most amount of adoption, right? If it helps the most amount of people, so they actually are incentivized to use it in a positive sense. It's not always the case. Sometimes it's better to just do it in a bad way and just do it to make sure you help people without further thought behind it, but this is the best way for everybody to do it, except for maybe the government, but of course they're making money on the side anyway, otherwise they would not have done it. This one I wanted to briefly bring up again. A lot of XRP is being transferred right now, even though the majority of the people are holding like crazy. The majority of the people I've talked to here, they're not planning on selling XRP anytime soon, and even though Jeb McCallum is selling a lot, and a lot is being transferred, it doesn't actually necessarily mean that people are selling like crazy or they're getting afraid, they're getting cold feet. I don't think any real holder or any institution is planning to let go before the 12th because of the Spark snapshot. And you also mustn't forget, claiming Spark and the snapshot are two completely different things. Because just snapshotting it basically means you have the money at that time and later on you can sell it again because you've already claimed that Spark, right? You've already kind of gotten it in your name. So there's not really much else to do then except for just getting the money in your pocket, but you at least have the right to get that money already. However, if you sell just before that and you buy back a day later, it could be that you don't have access to that money anymore. Cardano, IOHK announces successful adjustment of K and increased decentralization. So IOHK announced a successful modification of parameter K with epoch 234 of Cardano, and the parameter D has been paused at 68% by the Cardano development company due to the holiday season. There's not that much you need to know about this unless you're really into Cardano or unless you're into technical stuff. I just find it cool to quickly mention that Cardano is still up and going, and they're having a lot of developments. Again, we've been talking about the hard fork for a couple of days right now, and if you're into Cardano, check this article out. It is worth it, and it's written by Reynaldo. That actually has no relevance whatsoever. I just saw his name, I saw his logo or his picture. I was like, hey, this guy looks really happy, so he must be a happy writer. Of course, that's just a joke. Here was another one. Digital currency adoption is absolutely inevitable, predicts Standard Chattered CEO. because they believe digital currencies are inevitable, as both the private sector and government-backed entities will have leading roles in adoption process, which is coming. It has started already. There's no stopping it right now. CBDCs will be made. They're being made every single where. The line between fintechs and government is kind of getting closer to each other because, well, we've talked for a couple of times before how they need regulation, all these fintechs, but we've also talked about how fintechs can help governments to create things, and how, for example, Cardano and Ripple, and they've all decided to work with governments already to build stuff. In that sense, the line between a company and a crypto-oriented company and governments are actually getting closer together, which also is another very nice boost for crypto adoption, or at least the regulation or acceptance of crypto from a government perspective. And again, guys, I'm very excited about everything that's happening. But what we do know, guys, is that the government-backed entities are getting in heavily, and 2021 will be the year, as we're going to be seeing a little bit later with the CBDC from Europe.